not even need Bauer's game for me.
Ahoy there, YouTube! I'm back again today for another game review, another special adults-only party game review. Be forewarned. Today we're going to be checking out Friend or Fox, a game of ridiculously revealing questions from games adults play. This is for 2+ players, ages 18+. It'll take you, I don't know, about 15, 20, 25 minutes, something like that, to play. And in Friend or Fox, it's a very simple game with a very simple concept. Everyone at the table is going to take turns and they are going to answer a question, one question each round, and you're going to try to predict the answer to that question. If you successfully predict the answer to the question, then you're going to get a point. But where the game gets interesting is those questions are going to be personal questions about the person who's reading the question. And as the game progresses on, those questions are going to get more inappropriate, more borderline offensive if you are somewhat of a prude, and also more sexual, which might be a turnoff to some people. It is a light, simple adult party game, which is, you know, my jam, but did I enjoy it? Let's open it up and check it out. Be forewarned, inappropriate material ahead. Alright then, we're going to take a look at what you're going to get inside of Friend or Fox. So first and foremost, we have our handy dandy side of the box, which we'll be using for the rules. Very well done, should have you up and running in no time at all. So big thumbs up on it. And honestly, I don't have any issues with them putting the rules on the side of the box, because hey, if you can fit it here and it's clear and concise, why not? But in Friend or Fox, it's a very simple game where you are going to be answering one question a round for 5 rounds, and everyone else at the table is going to be guessing the answers to your questions in hopes of getting it right and getting points. So everyone at the table is going to answer 5 questions, and the person who answers, predicts, I should say, the answer that the person reading the question is going to say gets the most points. What am I talking about? Let's go over the components in the gameplay. So first, component-wise, everybody's going to start off. They're going to get a little pad right here. They'll need a pen or pencil, not included, and a bullshit card, which you will use from time to time when you want to argue your answer. On your little pad, you're going to write your name on top, then you're going to write all the other people playing the game right here. Over here is where you're going to be able to write answers, and if you get the answers correct, you will mark X's, and those X's are victory points. You'll also notice that there's 5 separate piles of cards out here. And how this works is, I'll just start it up and go first. So I'll just say I'm going first, and I would take the top card and I would read it out loud. What is my go-to form of exercise? Now everyone else would have forest written down here on the side, and then they would try to guess what my, form of exercise would be. After about 10-15 seconds, I'd say my go-to form of exercise is walking, because that's what I do. I count my steps. Let's see how many steps I got today. 5,800, I need 14.5. So yeah, and anybody who got it correct would get to mark an X down there. They would get a victory point. Now, if you said, say, for instance, sex, you're like, no, you always like to have sex, and you like to exercise during sex, and they can say, play the bullshit card, and they can argue it a little bit. But in the end, it would be down to whoever answered the question to decide whether or not they're going to give a point to somebody else. So next, Eric would go, and he would grab a round 1 question, and it would say, how spicy do I like my food? Medium, mild, hot, or on fire? And I know Eric, I would put down hot. He doesn't like it too crazy hot, but he likes a heat here and there. So I'd mark that down, and if he said hot, I would get, boom, a point right there. And then Cassie would go, and she'd say, what is my favorite TV show of all time? And I'd say, how the hell am I supposed to know what my best friend's wife's favorite TV show of all time is? I would guess something, and I would get it incorrect. Anywho, you do that over, everyone would get a chance to answer 1 question, and then you'd move on to round 2. And the questions get slightly more in-depth each round you get up, until you get to round 4 or round 5. Round 4 is when they'll start being a little bit uncomfortable for those who get uncomfortable around situations like this. Do I poop in public restrooms? How often do I fake orgasms? Have I ever been caught cheating on a partner? Have I had sex at my parents' house? Can I name the phrase for a male camel toe? Prove it. And there will be cards that have prove it on there. If that is the case, then you do have to prove it. So if it's like show a tattoo or something, then you have to show a tattoo. You get it. Last but not least, we have question 5s, which are the ones you probably want to know because they are the most interesting. What have I been arrested for? What have I taken from a friend or family member without permission? What would my significant other say is the most annoying thing about me? Do I like to role play in the bedroom? When it comes to porn, do I prefer to watch straight, lesbian, or gay? Do I talk dirty in bed? Have I been filmed having sex? Have I been the other man or woman? How often do I give myself a hand? Never, occasionally, or all the time. So this is when you're really going to start asking questions that could potentially offend people, but still the game remains the same. Couple other things to mention is there is a rule in place here that if you ever read a question and it doesn't apply or it's not something you want to answer, you feel uncomfortable, you can take the super duper lame skip option. You can do it as many times as you want. There's no penalty. Womp, 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 womp. But anywho, you're going to do that over the course of 5 rounds or 3 rounds if you're playing with more conservative people. And yes, it does say that on the rules. Whoever has the most points at the end will be the winner of Friend or Fox. And that, in a nutshell, is how the game is played. Alright then, Friend or Faux from Games Adults Play. What are my final thoughts? Let's go over the pros, let's go over the cons. First, on the con side, game's not going to be for everybody for a variety of different reasons. First and foremost, it's incredibly light, it's incredibly simple, but most importantly, it is an adults only party game, which will be a turnoff to a lot of people. Now, you could play this with your family and just play the first 3 rounds, and that would be perfectly fine. You'd have an enjoyable time, and you'd have a couple of fun guessing things and learning new stuff about your friends and family. But, you know, really most people, if they're going to buy this, are buying it for round 4 and round 5 when it starts to get risque and, you know, amps things up a little bit. Now, component-wise, I don't have issues with the components. Some people are going to be, you know, throwing a little bit of fit about how the rules are on the side. But honestly, it's such a simple game, I don't mind that. But the cards themselves, oh my gosh, they are like the cheapest, chintziest feeling cards that you will play with. Now, that being said, it's not a huge deal because it's the kind of thing where you're going to draw a card, you're going to read the card, you're going to set the card in the middle of the table, then you're going to answer the card. So you're not going to have a hand of cards. You're not going to shuffle them terribly often, but still, you would like them to be nicer quality cards, but it's something that I can get past. Now, one thing that does really annoy me, especially in 2018, is, dear God, give us double-sided score pads. Seriously, people. You're going to have score pads, and you will use those score pads. I mean, if you play a 5, 6, 7 player version of the game, you're going to use, you know, a good chunk of those, especially if you have more players than is on the score pad. Now, luckily, you could just use a piece of paper, but come on, make these score pads double-sided. Super annoyed by that. Not a huge deal, though. None of this stuff is really going to impact the fun you have with this game. Last but not least, you have to know the crowd that you're playing with. If you have a crowd that is not going to want to talk about their personal lives or their inappropriate matters, this is not going to be a game for you. Pure and simple. In addition to being an adult party game, which will turn off a lot of people, this is an adult party game where you are going to need to talk about your personal lives and your sex lives and your fantasies and your fetishes and stuff like that. And some people just, nope, no thanks, not my cup of tea. Which, hey, what are you going to do? This is not going to be a game for you. Any other cons that I have with the game? No. Moving on to the pros, I had a lot of fun with Friend or Fox, despite the fact I can't pronounce whatever that third word is, and I can recommend this, and I will be keeping this. So, what do I like about it? First and foremost, it's a great game to get to know people, and that's another comment that I do have to mention this game. People who know each other better than other people at the table are going to have a higher chance to win. So let's just say you're playing with 2 couples that have been married and a new girlfriend and boyfriend. Well, guess what? The couples that have been married are going to do way better than the girlfriend and boyfriend, and likewise, whoever knows the other 2 couples is going to do better than the new person in the relationship. It's just one of those games where the better you know people, the more you're going to get out of the game. But I also would argue and say that it's a lot of fun to get to know people better by playing this game, because I did that, and it was really cool learning new things and trying to guess new things about somebody else and then finding out that I was completely wrong or completely right. So that is something I did want to mention. Now, continuing on with the pros, I like how the questions slowly ramp up, and I really do like the fact that they made the first 3 rounds family-friendly, and then the 4th and 5th round, it's like, nope, no more family-friendly. This is for adults only. And it almost feels like an expansion to a certain degree. And it feels like, all right, this is like the the not suitable for work part of the game. And I like how it does slowly ramp itself up. I also like the fact that it has the prove it aspect right there for certain stuff where people actually do have to prove things to make sure they know what it is. Easy to learn, easy to teach. It's fun. It's not the kind of game that's really going to use your brain too much. It's just the kind of thing where you're going to sit around, you're going to talk, you're going to drink, you're going to enjoy each other's companies, you're going to enjoy hearing stories that other people have to say about their lives or what they're into or what they used to be into or what they used to do. And I like that. I love games like this that just bring people together and say, hey, you know, there's a game here, and there is a very clearly defined, there's going to be a clearly defined winner, but this is more about you just getting together with people and socializing and chit-chatting, and for that aspect, I think this is a great adult party game. The components knock it down a little bit, but still one that I can recommend if it looks like it might be for you. We had a good deal of fun with it. I would like to see more questions in the future, and in fact, they definitely could have fit more questions in this box, but the way they hold them, that's a little bit of a bummer, so that would be another con that I have with the game. But overall, friend or false, I liked it. I had fun with it. I will not be keeping it in my collection. I'm going to be keeping it in my friend Eric's collection, who has all my adult party games, because that's primarily what I go over to play, adult party games. So, but still, definitely one worth checking out if it looks like it might be for you. If you enjoyed this review, please be sure to click on that subscribe button down below in the comments below. Let me, you know what? Let's do it. I'm going to do it, and I want you to try and guess before I answer it. Tell me how many you get right. We're going to do 1, 2, 3, 4, 5. Oh man, let's see how this goes. Alright, starting off, one in the middle of one. The question is, would I choose to live in an endless summer or an endless winter? So for me personally, I like, oh man, it's really hard, because I love Thanksgiving, and I love, you know what, we're just going to go with pure temperature. We are not focusing on holidays or conventions, and in that aspect, I would much rather have, pure winter. I think so, because you can always put on a hoodie. You can't rip off your skin when you're too sweaty. So, there you go. Question 2. Where's question 2? Let's do it. Question 2. Have I ever been guilty of crop dusting fellow passengers on an airplane? Yeah, of course. Who hasn't? Seriously. Do it for fun. Moving on to question 3. As an adult, what is the longest I have ever gone without a shower? That is a very good question. I am very meticulous about showers. I normally take a shower every single day like clockwork. Even if I have nothing to do that day. Even if I don't leave the house. Even if I'm sick as a dog, I normally always take a shower. So the longest would probably be 2 days. Maybe 2.5, but nothing ever more than that. Continuing on, question 4, where they might start getting risky. Do I poop in public restrooms? Never. Only if I have to, or of course I do. Yes, of course I do. I love pooping in public restrooms, and this is something really weird about me. I absolutely adore it. I love when the seat's warm when I get in there. I love the fact when there's numerous stalls there, because normally when you go to the bathroom in a public restroom and you go poop, there's this pressure. There's this pressure to get done, especially if there's only one toilet, because if somebody comes in, even if it's a split second after you sit down for the bathroom, it's like, oh man, I gotta pinch this out. I gotta be done fast. But I love just enjoying myself in a public restroom, knowing I don't have to clean up after this, I don't have to clean this toilet or anything like that. So yes, I'm very odd when it comes to public restroom. Last but not least, question 5. Have I had phone sex? Yes, I have. It wasn't really for me. It just, I don't know. I think part of my problem with phone sex is I do have a very imaginative creation, and I think I would be really good at phone sex as long as I was not having phone sex. Because here's the thing. Once I start getting going, you know, all the blood goes from here down to there, and I just lose all creativity. And I'd done it before. It was not for me. So yeah, long-distance relationships not really an option for me. But there you go. Let me know how many you got right. I'd be very curious about that. And if you enjoy what I'm doing, blah, 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 blah. As always, thanks for your time, YouTube.